we have Rudy Frieson's Bully Boyz, and he actually did give notes for this. So let me look real quick and make sure I'm covering what I'm supposed to be reading. Let me see here. Let's see. Okay, yep. So here we go. So now we have, I'm pulling up, make sure I can read some of those notes because I had them and such, right? So, okay, he actually, thank you very much, my friend Rudy. He actually sent me the missions real quick because I was like, hey, thank you for that. Really nice of you. You get so here we are with Bully Boyz finally making an appearance. I absolutely love to see it. And there was some nice pieces and tech pieces that I seen here that went at my green orky heart. So keep in mind, we put an honorable mentions. So if you put an honorable mention, that might be a list that we end up covering the following week. Oh, it's called Friesen. Rudy Friesen. Hey, that's awesome. All right, thank you, Rudy. So shout out to Rudy in the chat. What's up? So, sorry guys, I'm feeling a little allergies or something randomly during the stream. So let me pull up Rudy's path to victory. I have too many tabs open here, guys. Sorry, let me get to it. There it is. Okay, so we have Bully Boyz, which we have very rarely seen sitting around 4-1 as of for the whole year. It happens on and off, so I'd like to see it more often. So I really want to encourage people to experiment, keep going with it, because I think pressure is the name of the game right now. If you just can't absolutely one shot everything, keep in mind, he also had some nice creative tech pieces that he did add that are mostly just spoken about. So I loved it. So let's get into what he had. He had a Beast Boss with good old-fashioned 10 snaggers, because who doesn't love dev wounds, 2 OC, built-in feel no pains, and that 5-up info. Now, I think it's important that you always have some sort of OC, brick battle line, brick of units or redundancy in your list when Bully Boyz. So at least having one unit of battle line, I think, is very important when it's those time for, hey, I might really just need some OC bodies here that are still alive. In this case, he just said, yep, snaggers are going in. But if you don't have snaggers, don't use them consistently, I think 10 boys and a war boss is pretty decent as well. Then we have a Big Mac with the Driller and Tractor Blaster. Absolutely love that he brought the Big Mac. Now we'll talk about that, but they go with the Tank Busters. His thoughts on that is that, one, he did want some DACA on this list. He thought this was just enough, just one unit that's threatening enough to pop transports or to put some wounds on Greater Demon or something like that has an invuln. The reason he went for the Big Mac is specifically the point cost, like we were talking about when the point changes all came out to play, is that keep in mind you can always stick a Big Mac instead of a shock attack gun, and there are some slight differences. In this case, what he mentioned is, well, a lot of things have invulns. I don't need that much AP. Now, of course, you do lose out on the possible spiking of the shock attack gun shots and having blast and having D6 shots himself, but having flat, just 3 shots reliably and having the punching potential is pretty nice. Now, as for the Tractor Blaster over the Custom Mega Blaster, he says he can understand that you guys think that one's better than the other, as the Custom Mega Blaster is probably arguably the better quote-unquote choice, but he said he put, I think it was 9 wounds on Magnus, right? So shout out to you guys. So he said justify with a 7. It was 7 wounds on Bellacore. So I just made up facts, but it was Bellacore. So he said, I put 7 wounds on Bellacore, so I was happy with it. So shout out to you. I'm happy with it also. So that was for that. Love that he brought some talk on the list, and they're still not bodies. And of course, like he said, they don't really get any of the buffs, but that first wall, they can get stuck in if they're still alive, right? Then we have the Big Mac in Mega Armor with the custom force field. Now, he said this was his good anchoring piece for the shooting matchup specifically. Nothing's really clearing them in one activation. And he said the only time I really did was against the Greater Demon, the Bloodthirster at the end of one of the games, or at the end of the event. So he was like, hey, absolutely just still like this piece, and this is one piece that's quite contentious, right? A lot of the time people think, well, they suck, they only hitting on 4s now, they're not doing anything, and why don't I just pick War Boss? I want to go forward, and ultimately the meta can still kill these guys. Well, 4-up invuln feels excellent on any orc unit, being able to regen bodies, but keep in mind you don't have to expose the entire unit when you're going on an objectives in some cases, and that allows for, that's why the importance of him saying you can't clear them one activation means as long as the character and one do still alive, that unit can still start respawning guys, right? And when you're playing that game of I need the enemy to close the distance on me and take angles to start clearing me off objectives, you typically would like lone ops. If you're playing Tyranids, maybe like World Eaters, you put a Demon Prince on your list, even Ultramarines will put a Lieutenant, like we said, where if you want the enemy to come out to play, you need them to start closing the distance, start making trades. But you don't have that as Orks, like a lone op in that case on this list. That's worth it. We think Snick rounds too many points and he doesn't fit the theme right now. the Big Mac unit will allow the enemy to start closing distance, either to take angles or to try to combine arm crash into you, right? So then we have the War Boss, lovable War Boss, good old fashioned War Boss. Only one on this list. Then we have two War Bosses in Mega Armor. The one with the teleporter is the Warlord. Absolutely love the teleporter enhancement because to me it really helps with the fact that you're going when you're going second. You're like, well, I got a rapid ingress target, feeling pretty good about this. And keep in mind, you're bringing in that rapid ingress, so you could possibly use him in a defensive way, not just a pressure way. So you can drop him down behind one of your own assets that's possibly going to be getting charged. For example, that Big Mac and Mega Armor unit we were just talking about. Say the enemy shot into them, getting tired of them thinking there, they want to charge into them now. Well, I'm going to rapid ingress this unit here, be ready for a heroic intervention, start making the game trading up like that. So I love teleporter. I definitely try to fit it on my list. I don't think you always need it, but I definitely try to fit it on my list. And then just like I said, one more Warboss and Mega Armor. So 10 Snagas, 2 trucks, 1 wagon. I like that he kept this simple on the transports. That has to do with how the units are deployed. Of course, you can just simply put a teleporter unit in reserves and then 1 Beast Boss unit in your truck. But you do want to consider, well, the Big Mac can sometimes go on reserves himself as well. You can end up playing with taxiing, right? One unit gets up in, one unit gets out. So start the Big Mac and Mega Armor inside the truck, and then they disembark. But then we have 2 Grout units followed by 3 5-man units of Meganobz. One of those units did have Power Claw and custom shooters. Then he had a big 10-man unit of knobs with the Power Claw and that War Boss unit. Whoa, absolutely love to see it, guys. That was our unit since Index Hammer. When we didn't have a world of Tank Busters and Breaker Boys, the knobs carried the way of the Waaagh. So I absolutely love that he actually brought that big brick on there here. That's what we've been seeing more and more often, is that the 10-man unit has taken the place of, well, if you're going to bring knobs, instead of bringing 5s, just bring a big 10 and let it do its thing. But in this case, something that he pointed out was that he thinks that he really appreciated the fact that they had crushing impact. So that would be the stratagem to where when you're in engagement range with an enemy unit, when you make a charge and you end engagement range of an enemy unit, each model that is engagement range of an enemy unit can roll the dice on a Waaagh turn on a 4+. I believe it's a 4+. You do immortal wounds up to 6. So it's essentially a grenade. So you would take the knob unit. Let's just say it's a big monster, and you can get base to base with everybody. You're going to roll 10, 11 dice, and you're going to look for 4 ups, and then you're going to get up to 6 mortal wound. So he said that was quite important. It was quite important because he's allowed to, like we said before, make a charge into one enemy unit, use crushing impact to pick up those models or pop holes in it, and then pile into the enemy unit behind it. I think that's an excellent big brain, big bully boy boss way to think about using that, because that is one of the stratagems that is the most underrated in that book, because you have to end base to base enemy units. But guess what? The meta's out here, and either they're big base hull vehicle type of units, so you're going to be able to get models in base to base contact, or it's a screen, so they're going to be spaced out anyways, so you can still get base to base contact with multiple of those base units. You might not be able to get 10, but getting 8, 6, 7, you're looking for you should be expecting similar output to the grenade strat. And we like the grenade strat as orcs, and there's not a lot of stratagems in this detachment that you're going to use. You're using reroll hits. You're going to be, maybe if someone desperate escapes you, consolidating. Maybe you're going to be using our version of Armor of Contempt with the Big Mac and Mega Armor, but you don't need to rely on some of these stratagems and reroll hits. So crushing impact is on the table for certain targets and opportunities, and that's the kind of opportunities you can explore by popping mortal wounds through people. So that was a great job by him. So he was really impressing me with his tech pieces by using a Big Mac instead of the shock attack guns, for still having the tank busters and their combined ability to fight, get stuck in, do still the Bully Boys thing. And then his tech piece of, I really like the 10 knobs, but specifically because the mortal wounds. Now, he just said in chat that he put the knobs and the tank busters in the wagon all of his games. So I absolutely love to see that. Sorry. So I'm gonna make sure I didn't miss any of the notes before we move on to other things he was saying, because he said look at a good amount of the stuff. He says in terms of deployment, he typically had all his units in transport with a Stormwind, Meganobz, and Deep Strike. Of course, the battle wagon in the middle of the table, and then trucks on each flank. One Stormboy unit would be in the middle, near the middle, so that he can do secondaries in the middle of the game if he had to. He said his actually, we'll talk about MVPs and such like that after we look through his path to victory. So let's move on to his path to victory. Another thing to check out is our sponsor, the Baron of Dice. They make high quality custom dice. If you enjoy our content and want to show some love, check out the Baron of Dice custom dice, including Waaagh Tactics official dice. To support us, use our discount code in the description for 5% off, because nobody likes taxes. And of course, shout out to Forge Fire Gaming. They offer competitive terrain sets that I use at home that comes pre-painted with slotted acrylic bases, allowing for easy building removal and measuring and alignment with it itself. Check it out in the description, and check out our paint competition. This month we have the Stompa, so you can get a set of those Waaagh Tactic dice. We actually ending up getting 5th place here at this Goonhammer event, so 62 people. Shout out to you, Yuga. He did end up losing his first game, but he got 80 points, so quite respectable win there, how it came through. But it was to no, it was not to himself. It was into the. So I clicked it. It was into, there we go, the Orks. So we had a mirror matchup. Sorry, I got reading something real quick. So in this game, in this matchup, we had Charles, excuse me, guys. Charles Lauder. So he had another Warhorn on Warhorn matchup. So we had a Beast Boss with Cunningware Brutal, a Pain Boy, and a War Boss, and then a War Boss in Mega Armor with Follow Me Lads, followed by a Weird Boy. We have one Snaggy unit, followed by a big 10-man unit. Sorry, 10. A big 20-man unit of boys. Of course, this is where the Pain Boy and the War Boss went. And then we have another 10-man unit of boys. So like we always talk, this is one of the most fundamental units on the Orks, is the 10-man unit of boys with the Pain Boy and the War Boss. Very important for mid-table presence. Very important for saturation of objectives and board presence. Very important for tagging enemy units and controlling the tempo of the game. So I absolutely love to see Mobs of Boys still making an appearance. Really sad to see that they went up in points though. Yeah. So then we have 2 trucks, the Battle Wagon, 2 10-man units of Gretchen, a Kill Rig. So Kill Rig kind of made his appearance, followed by a Meganobz unit, 5 Meganobz. He had a mixture of units, so he'd probably going WYSIWYG. He had 3 Power Claws and 2 Twin Kill Saws. 1 big 10-man unit of Knobs, followed by a Rucker Truck Squig Buggy, and 2 Storm Boys. So it's funny because I mentioned the Rucker Truck Squig Buggy as when he does hit you, then on the 4+, he can diminish your ability to actually move. So you'll end up just reducing your movement. -2 to move, advance, and charges. So it's pretty hilarious. Nothing to really buff him in that case. So yeah. So as we go here now, it is a bit interesting to see, because a lot of the time, and when it's the Ork on Ork matchup, it's like who's gonna Waaagh and how is the Waaagh going to be dealt. And in some cases, you would say, well, the Bully Boyz has an advantage on that. But in some cases, the Warhorde has an ability advantage because of its art as nails and fight on death and its throttling potential. So even though I do highly respect the defensive ability of the Meganobz and the Orks and a Waaagh, but keep in mind, Warhorde is known for its ability to just crack through almost anything in the game. Now, as for how he felt about what happened in this game, he didn't have his units fully painted, so he lost some points on that. And then also he said that the Ork player took advantage of just being able to take advantage of screens. When you're playing that Bully Boyz list, you don't have a lot of chaff screening. And a lot of the time, as we always talk about with Ork players, you do not want the enemy to get the initiative on you. You typically just really don't, right? Now, what was interesting was the transport difference, the Kill Rig, the 20 boys unit. As we've said before, remember, if you guys kick it back with me, to when Bully Boyz came out and Meganobz had a 4 of Feel No Pain, the one unit that was reliably beating Bully Boyz was Green Tide, right? So when the Green Tide was going into Bully Boyz, the main issue was they typically didn't have enough punches, because Meganobz only have 2-3 punches to clear these guys, and then 2, the high OC bombs, right? So as you're looking at this list, you can see, well, 1, they have more OC. 2, they still have their cracking potential and the transport safety capability. So getting out of them with that is important. And playing the mission is also important in that case. But nonetheless, he said mostly it was about the screens being kind of rough on that case. The mission was hidden supplies, he said. So yeah. So ultimately he said that he felt like he just made some mistakes early game in that one. The enemy was able to just hit him hard enough and make up the difference because 80 points means you still had a great showing. So great showing, great amount of points putting up. And if you're gonna lose to anyone, it might as well be another orc. So shout out to you. That's a proper wall, and shout out to our boy Charles Launder. Whoa! Because nonetheless, an orc on orc matchup is super chaotic. I know that Bully Boys have their own fight on death, but having like an assured fight on death is, obviously better as well. So this matchup I've seen go both ways. I've seen both go both ways, but clearly it was a good game. So shout out. Then we move on to his second game. So now we move on to where he goes into Adeptus Custodi. So this is the detachment of Ulrich champions. So we have Trajan Valoris, Blade champion, Shield captain, 2 5-man units of Guardians, 3 2-man units of Alaris Terminators, followed by 2 5-man units of Custodian Wardens, 1 5-man units of Prosecutors, and then 2 these 3-man units of Virtus Praetors. Oh, it's just 2 Virtus Praetors for 150 points. Dang, that's a lot. And then an Evisor Assassin. So pretty much good old fashioned wardens, good old fashioned wardens, and just custodes on foot. Now, what I always say here is you having transports means that they don't have access to you. You can get the initiative on them. I do like that he brought some guns here. It means that he can at least threaten the custodian wardens or get some shots off on them before the fight starts if he can kill some of them. Again, like we were talking about, he can possibly try to use crushing impact. Orcs are wounding custodes relatively well and typically have good volume. So something like wardens is doing good into guard. Knobs are doing good into guard. The typical custodian guard. Alora's Terminators can be kind of like dealt with as in death by 1,000 cuts by orc units. Wardens can impose their own factor, but remember, at the end of the day, it comes down to being a slobber knocker. So have your heroic interventions in place. So if you can stop other custodian units from getting charges in or holding back some of their individual models that were in the unit that charged in so they don't get all their fights in, that's helpful. Utilizing your kill rigs, your wagons to do move blocking, and then really delivering that 20-man unit in on the Waaagh and making contact, which is as much as the army as much as possible when it's go time for custodes, because you need them to hit you while you actually have your invuln up. Otherwise, you're absolutely still getting blended. And you do have 2 of these Waahs, so you can kind of bait them into putting all their assets forward after you clear their cheap ones, and then not having the feel no pain again, because the warden's can only do it once. So pretty sick. Great job by that. Love to see that, Rudy, dealing with the custodes. Rudy saying that first game he had stayed up all night. I've had that, dude, where you're just really tired from that events when you show up the first day, and yeah, I know, man. I know exactly how that is. And then I'm not super into caffeine, so yeah, it happens. And then we have number 3 is his third matchup into the Blood Angels Firestorm Assault Force. That's a little different. So we have Apothecary Biologist, a Chaplain, Chief Librarian Mephiston, and then Assault Intercessor Squad. 1 unit of Jump Pack Intercessors, 2 Ball Predators, 1 Dreadnought. Good old fashioned Dreadnought. An Eradicator Brick, 2 5-man units of Hellblasters, a Land Raider Crusader, a Sanguinary Guard, and then 2 Scouts and a Vindicator. Do appreciate Ball Predators. And is this the one with this one? Ooh, okay, this isn't the Flamer one. I would say I like the Land Raider with the Flamers. Now, I would say that Hellblasters do have their place, but typically, in my opinion, better off in a Ultramarine, Gladius, given the, sustained capability with a character for critical 5+s or something, or critical 6s, excuse me, for lethal sustain. So he does have tools and assets in here to kill stuff, but as for there is too much efficiency, in my opinion, in Rudy's list of I can pop you, I can take some of your first hits, and then continue to kind of run through you. He does have the ability to at least kill these ball predators in shooting, which does help. They are reliable Overwatch units, and you don't really want to have to deal with them for too long. And deal with them. You do have Mephiston in here. Nonetheless, like I said, what usually happens against Blood Angels, if you're proper, efficient with your CP, and in this case, you have double wall. So I would love the fact that you can actually continue the pressure and throw 2 waves of orc efficiency into them. Would just be I haven't had a Blood Angels matchup yet, but that would just be so much fun, because you're still going to fight on death. They can't, deal with the Meganobz too cleanly with your feel no pains and such like that. You actually get to make saves and then bring in other units of guys in after. That would be a good slobber knocker, but typically they just run out of assets to keep fighting you. Then we go into his, but that was a 74 point win, so his lowest win rate score, but it was a good game, good game. Then we go into his fourth game where he's catching momentum here, and he's going into Chaos Space Marine. So he has Sorcerers of Terminator armor and a Warp Smith, one Cultist Marine, one big brick of Legionnaire, actually 2 big bricks of Legionnaires, 2 units of Chaos Predator Annihilators, 2 Chaos Predator Destructors, a big old brick of Chaos Terminators, and then 2 Chaos Vindicators, followed by 2 Raptors for scoring. So here we are with the hull spam. So he's calling it Iron. So he's playing like their version of vehicles hull spam, like we said. That's the meta right now. That's the meta right now. So that's why it's really important that he brought multiple units with kill saws. I absolutely love the kill saws in this matchup. And hey, shout out to you for bringing the zap gun. I think it saves time, but when those shots get through, hey, let me know. Let me know, Rudy. Did the zap gun do any damage to anything? I just want to know. I love when that thing actually does it, right? I love when that zap gun actually is like, yeah, I popped you, you know, or whatever. I killed something efficient Terminator. So pretty cool. As for this one now, the double wall does allow you to continue to push through these units, and like he already alluded to before, if you are dealing with something like those Legionnaires, these Raptors, the fact that you can do something like Crushing Impact, maybe another unit like your Storm Boys can throw a grenade. The grenade, Crushing Impact, put 6 to 8 mortal wounds into this unit. Suddenly you've picked up half the screen, and you can pile in to the transport, or sorry, the vehicle that was behind it, fight that thing as well, and then get it stuck into combat with you as well. So I think that's really most likely what ended up happening here, where and then he said in this game, they ended up falling into a corner because Orc pressure. So shout out to you. You actually controlled the table space like that. And they ended up just not making a big bomb charge and getting stuck in a corner. So I thought maybe, there could be chances where you just put the knobs directly into them. You do enough mortal wounds and you just blend that unit down sometimes. I guess this isn't Warhorde, so it won't do it as reliably. But yeah, good win, 96 points. Great job. Then we move on to a second to last game, where he went into the Grey Knights with the Warpbane Task Force. So we have Brotherhood Chaplain, Castellan Crow, Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knight, and that Caldor Drago. We have 2 units of Brotherhood Terminators, 1 unit of Strike Squad, 2 units of Nemesis Dread Knights, 1 unit of Paladins, followed by a Purifier. So these guys have the kind of like their own shadow. They can reroll damage. These guys are excellent for dealing damage, in my opinion, for rerolling hits and just good old Grey Knight reliability. Keep in mind, they are an army of a 2-up. Oh, oops, sorry guys, I didn't even show you the army. They are an army of 2-up saves and some invulns. But that's the one thing I really do like about Bully Boyz. You got a lot of AP typically, and you have pressure and speed. A lot of the time, Grey Knights like to say, hey, I get to stay off, make you want into my Terminators maybe. Then once you've killed my Terminators, I come down on you with my Dread Knights, and then my Dread Knights pretty much clean up your army between their combined assets of Flamers, auto cannons, and then sweeping attacks. And they try to dissect your killiest units, pick apart your transports, because Nemesis Dread Knights are really good at popping trucks, but they're not good at popping battle wagons. Now, did he have librarians? He most likely did. He have a bunch of librarians? No. If they have librarians, that's kind of like mortal wound bonds from what I remember. A little heavy on the characters. He does have Caldor Drago, so this guy's reliable for dropping in and getting he drops in and gets 2 or 3 to his charges or something. So he gets something like a 6-inch charge. Quite reliable on that guy. So that's their version of pressure. They like to dissect you, right? Oh, and he said in this game, the Zap Gun did kill a Dread Knight. Whoa, yeah, let's go for the Zap Gun. So I love the fact that Bully Boyz feel like they can close the distance, crash into the Dread Knights. The Dread Knights will respond to really have to pick up the Meganobz, most likely making a charge into them because shooting won't be enough. Even if they pick up that first or second Meganob unit, then the other ones come in, the knobs come in. And like he said, you have the mortal wound potential. So don't forget that you can do crushing impacts into these guys if you have to as well. As I mentioned for the battle wagon, these guys can't do stuff to your battle wagon and your kill rig as well. So they can kill your kill rig and your battle wagon, but typically relies on combat and they're not doing it too efficiently. So using your transports and those kind of units to move, push forward, draw out their assets, and then you crash into them with your killing ones and punching them and keeping that momentum. Very important to Dread Knights, Grey Knights, and it looks like he did an excellent job on that. 83-point win. Then we go into the last one, which was Chaos Demon. So Demon Incursion. So good old, this is kind of what I would consider the meat and potatoes of Demon. So we have Bellacore, Bloodthirster, Epidemus, the Great Unclean One with the 2 units of Poxbringers and Rotigas, 1 unit of Nurglings, 3 10-man units of Plague Bearers, but Orcs love beating up Plague Bearers, and then 3 units of Beast of Nurgle. So Beast of Nurgles are kind of cool because they heal if you don't kill them in one phase. And they're like a good toughness thing. It's like 8 or something stupid. Nonetheless, this unit is just all greater demons and some poxwalkers. Poxwalkers, sorry, plague bearers, which in their own right are durable with T5 and 2 wounds, and they have an invuln. They're sticking objectives, but orcs typically have good answers into greater demons and demons as a whole. Between the beast boss, he actually does have tank busters to shoot at them a little bit up as well. Even though he's Bellacore, but hey, you're gonna get some shots off on something else. Even though Meganobz have the AP for these guys, the fact is they're strength 12 anyway, so they can deal with that too. And as he mentioned before, do your mortal wounds. Now, don't try to kill the great unclean one. A lot of the time it's about killing everybody else in that as well. The fact that he doesn't have a lot of AP is actually pretty big. I'm sorry, he doesn't have a lot of OC, as in Rudy didn't have a lot of OC, was actually pretty important. Now he said also, and he mentioned right now, like I was saying, that Rodriguez's aura of -1 OC is also a big issue. So Rudy's list is already low on OC for the most part, and then he's also dealing with someone who's trying to reduce your OC, not being able to kill a great endless gift guy. So in this case, it's really important that you kill all his scoring assets, and you kind of end up using your transports, your vehicles to push out space, or something like a Bloodthirster can go charge into Kill Rig or Battle Wagon rather than your Meganobz, for example. So that's a big deal. And getting your beast boss into a proper target when it's time to shine, right? If you can get him into Bellacore, he can probably do some damage. In this case, he's not as good as he would be in Warhorde, but still, he's good enough to do some damage into multiple of these other units, or you can use him to pick up the Poxwalkers. But in this game, it was a 76-point win. That's a respectable hard game to deal with if you're kind of bully boy sometimes, because you don't. In this case, he didn't have breaker boys and not same offensive output from your beast boss as you would get from Warhorde, nor a gas for his lethal capability. So great job by pulling that out. I'm very under the impression that, like you said, you're probably using your transports, your screening, and just overall board control to make sure the demons, at least if they are getting in fights, it's not on the objectives, and you're clearing all their chaffs. Now, one thing he wanted to say after he got that win, so 4-1 ended the event, we're talking about the MVP. So he said his actual MVP units are the Meganobz. He said they're the star of the show. So as long as they're not going into something that's -1 damage, their output does kill most things. And the reason for that is, and most people would say, what? They only got 2 attacks. Well, they're constantly sitting around for 3 attacks, right? Keep that in mind. Because the bully boys, so at least you're getting that twice. But though you are only hitting on 3s, or in some cases 4s, there is the strat to re-roll the hits, which greatly increases the percentage of your hits. So in that case, it goes up to 80 and 90% of your hits actually end up going through. But your reliability on wounding, because the high strength of 12, 13 on the wall from your kill saws, and then re-rolling that from Twin Link means a lot of the time you're converting 90 plus of those. So then it goes from, well, I start with 15, but I'm probably putting anywhere from 10 to 12 wounds at -3 AP on that target. And a lot of the times people in the game, if they are susceptible to AP, are not ready for the -3 AP. And that takes you a long way. Like I said, you get to reroll hits and his mortal wound potential that he was talking about. You do have storm boys that are around to throw grenades. You have battle wagons and battle wagons that can run up and end up doing a tank shock in that case, or a zap gun. No, I'm just kidding. It happens. Or as he spoke about before, he had the tractor cannon. Tractor cannon did mortal wounds to Bellacore at the end of that game. And he said he used the battle wagon to tie up the greater unclean one, which is exactly how you do it. You use whatever transport you have to tie up greater demons that you can't necessarily kill, box out a greater unclean one, whatever it may be. So I love that what he did here and the work that he put in. And like he said, the Meganobz, they have good output. The top 10 knobs are really good because of his crushing impact. And the Grots just being super expendable. As he mentioned out before, the toughness of the Meganobz shouldn't be overrated. And even when there's only a couple left, they can kind of take you a long way. So that's all that Rudy had to say about the Bully Boys. So check him out because he's in the Discord, and great job for being around in the chat. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!